It's another week and another episode of the Granny Panty podcast. I'm your host, RubyLynne. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to follow me, you can go to IamRubyLynne.com where it's all things Ruby. If you'd like to follow the podcast, you can go to thegrannypantypodcast.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we love our subscribers. My guest this week, I had the pleasure of meeting last month while I was in LA. And I was blown away when you walked through the door. So super excited. If you Google top adult industry director producers, like top 40, he's definitely going to be in there. His list of awards and Hall of Fames was literally, I kept scrolling. So he has, had an amazing career, which he continues to try new projects. I'm excited to hear today about his company, all a media social, where he helps independent creators manage fan sites, build their social media presence. So help me welcome the iconic Will Ryder. I am so excited to have one of the most iconic directors in adult industry on the show this week. So I want to welcome Will. I'm so excited to have you on.
Well, thank you very much, Ruby, for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
I have to say that when I Googled the top, adult industry director producers, your name was right up there, like the top 40.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited to have you on. You sent me a whole bunch of really awesome information, and I can't wait to kind of find out how all this came, from music, your music career, and then transitioning into adult. So you got your first award in 2008, and that list is huge. I kept scrolling.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a complete list, but I mean, it's, at the beginning, it was very exciting, to compete with the big, iconic directors of that era of the early 2000s. And, to even be considered, even not even on their level back then, but, as one of the guys or gals in the business, whatever it happens to be, was pretty exciting. I remember the first time that the owner and president of AVN, which is the industry publication, Adult Video News. I remember the first time he said hello to me and used my name. I couldn't believe that he knew my name, and I was, this many years ago, and I was so excited. And but you never really know what's happening while you're in the bubble, as they say. You don't really realize any kind of impact that you're having. So I didn't really realize it for many years.
Mhm. And then you just kept amassing all those awards. So you must have been like, somebody likes me.
Well, I knew what we did. We started out, back in the day. We created rebirth the parody explosion. We were the godfather, I guess, of the modern day parody. And it's we didn't really know what we had. I did
Right.
know that when I saw we did a spoof of the Brady Bunch called "Not the Brady's," and at the AVN show, the trade show back in the day when it was a business to business trade show. Now it's a fan fest, so it's a lot smaller. But when it
Right.
was this massive trade show, uh, Hustler, which was our distributor, had the video up on their big 10-foot screens. There was 4 10-foot screens on each side of their booth, and you could see it from all the way across the trade floor. And I remember when our trailer would play, and you'd hear dun 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 dun, and everybody looked up and sees basically the Brady Bunch on the screens.
Mhm.
Literally, the traffic stopped in its track because they had never seen anything like it. It didn't exist. We created it, and they would look up. And I said to my business partner Scott David, I said, "Get ready for a ride because we just
Yeah.
created a monster." And that's really what happened. And then the whole business just changed because of what we did. Kind of
I love
exciting.
that.
It was fun back in the day. It was, when you're enthusiastic about things
Mhm.
and you're
Right.
creating things from scratch, even though it's a parody. I couldn't wait to get to work every day. I just couldn't wait to get to my office.
That's cool. Yes, I love the parodies. I was reading through the list and what came to mind, I was like, okay, he needs to do one for the Kardashians. Let's do There there's your next parody. I
It's
think that
been
would be
done. I
great.
mean, we didn't do it, but the Kardashians have been done
Mhm.
many years ago.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about the porn industry is the porn industry really uh, will leave no stone unturned, as they say. We get in there, and not just us, but other companies
Mhm.
that followed in the wake. Um, we don't leave anything untouched. And so anything you could think of that had any kind of entertainment value, celebrity value, has been pretty much created in a parody when that 10-year parody explosion was happening. So Kardashians, great subject matter, but it's been done.
It's been done. Darn it. I thought I was gonna be really innovative here and give you a great idea.
I want to tell you something about innovation. When I first got started for the second time in this business, I had two different phases. The second time, I was working at a company called New Sensations. I was the head of marketing for New Sensations, and I learned so much from that company because they were a brilliant company. And the owner, Scott Taylor, I got to watch him and learn. And he was a maestro at business. I was in a little cubicle at first, right next to the men's restroom in the sales department. And so, when I started, I suffered for the art, for the craft, because they put me next to the men's bathroom, and it was a team of big burly salesmen, and these guys really ripped up that bathroom, if you know what I'm saying. And I was right there, but I withstood it because I wanted to be in the business so bad. I went
Right.
out to the warehouse, and this warehouse was massive. There's shelves piled 30 feet high, and I said to the warehouse manager, I said, "Man, I didn't know there were so many different, porn movie titles." And I said,
Right.
You'd have to come up with something really original, like a new title." And I went back to my cubicle, and about 20 minutes later, he came to me and he threw on my desk, he threw a VHS tape.
Sh
And it was at that moment, that was a crucial moment because I realized then that you really had to think out of the box if you wanted to make any kind of a dent in this business because everything had been done. It's kind of like rock and roll.
Mhm.
Everything had been done from 3 chord, 4 chord to all these different progressions. Every style has been done. Everybody just comes along and kind of recreates or combines styles. Everything had been done in the porn business. There was nothing left to do. And I literally thought to myself, there's nothing, we can't do anything. We could never come up with any
Right.
concept. And we didn't even think that we were going to be producers at the beginning. I was in marketing. My business partner he owned a hair salon. And so he was cutting people's hair all day. And I'm running the marketing department with New Sensations. And it was sometime after that we actually got started from making movies. We weren't doing that at the beginning.
Well, it speaks to your creativity because you were able to take what all this stuff had already been done, but then create something brand new.
Well, what happened is there's a thing in the porn industry called go sees where girls will come to your office. They go see about possibly working in a future movie. And
Mhm.
it's pretty amazing compared to real life, like a real business, like if you're working on Wall Street or you have a company. These girls come in, they say hello, and you talk to them for about 10 seconds, and then they take their clothes off. And it's everyday business in the adult entertainment business. To the average person, would be very shocking for a girl to
Right.
walk into an office and just remove her clothes and do all that kind of stuff. But it was very, I mean, I liked it. Believe me, I thought it was fantastic. But it was a girl that walked into my office one day, and I said to her, I said, you could kind of pass for Britney Spears' little sister.
I
And
read
she
that.
goes, "Yeah,
That's
I
so
heard about
funny.
that." And so that night I went home and I'm thinking, and we hadn't really done anything, successful in the movie business at that point. And
Mhm.
I thought, what could we do with this girl? She looks like Britney Spears. And I thought, oh my God. And I woke up in the 4 o'clock in the morning, bolted up right out of bed and said, Britney Rears,
I
a
love it.
parody of pop singer Britney Spears, who uses her rear. And that's exactly what we did. We created this movie, which is a very involved parody of the pop singer Britney Spears, and no distributors wanted it. Nobody. And I was like, we spent like, it was a very low budget at the time. We spent like, maybe $18,000 making this movie, and we didn't know what to do. And I remember I went over to Hustler, and I was talking to the vice president of Hustler Video at the time, a guy named Mark Hamilton, who's a British guy. He came over from England, and we were talking about music. And I'm desperate to sell this movie any way I can because
Right.
it's a lot of money. And we're talking about music, and he starts telling me how much he loved old school R&B music. And I told him, like, geez, I came up on old school R&B as a musician.
Mhm.
And I said, I've been, he goes, have you ever been to England? I said, yeah, I've been to England many times. And, as a matter of fact, I worked with a soul singer who was fantastic back in the 80s. And we sold out Wembley Arena 7 nights in a row.
Wow.
He goes, what year was that? I said, I think it was 1987. He goes, I was there, or 88. He goes, I was there at the concert.
Wow.
And he actually remembered there was one white guy in the band. That was me. That was me. So out of pity or this musical connection, this love for old school R&B, he decided to do a distribution deal with us. And Britney Rears became the number one selling movie that year in the Larry Flint empire, which I think was 2006. If
That
I
is
remember.
amazing.
Yeah, small world, right?
That is a small world. I mean, I can't even imagine, that happening, that he was actually there and saw you. What a
He was
great
actually at the
connection.
concert, and that is it's just a fluke of nature because
Mhm.
we possibly could have been out of the business before we even started because we had 2 strikes on us before that. We didn't come out of the box swinging. We had a movie that we did that I thought was absolutely fantastic back in the day, and it turned out to be one of the biggest piles of dog manure that you've ever seen in your life. As a matter of fact, one reviewer wrote in his review, "Possibly the year's worst offering."
Oh gosh. Now
So, that's amazing, right?
that is says something, but, 3rd time's a charm. So, for
Well,
every
yeah.
failure, it gets you closer to that success.
Yeah, we had 2 major bombs, and, then we had a huge, home run with Britney Rears, and we were off to the races then, and it just never ended at that point until it ended, after 10 years.
But what was the important thing you learned from those first 2 failures that made that 3rd one a success?
Well, I think the key was you really had to be original. You had to come, people will argue, "Well, parodies aren't original," and I'm like, I cut myself shaving, today, so I got a little nick up here, but, that's why I'm blotting myself.
I thought you were
Um,
crying tears. You were so excited to be
I'm
on the Granny
so
Panty podcast.
I well, actually, I really am, so, this is good. I think the key is, and I learned this lesson from Scott Taylor at New Sensations. He said, always swim to blue water, which is kind of like open water where there's nobody
Mhm.
swimming. There's books on that subject and all that. And
Right?
I wasn't conscious of it. I just felt that this is where I needed to go
Mhm.
because I had witnessed that everything had been done before. But when I realized that movie, there was actually a title on an abstract title that I created in my head, just blurted it out. I realized that this business doesn't need anything from me unless I come up
Gotcha.
with something that's just really outstanding, and that's
Mhm.
kinda what we did. I don't know if we were subconscious of it or we stumbled on it or whatever it was, but that's kind of how it went. But
Gotcha.
certainly we look like geniuses because everybody in the industry pointed their fingers at us and say, "Hey, we gotta copy that." So,
Yeah. And so, projects that you're working on today, do you continue the parody
no,
style films?
no, no. We beat that horse, and,
Mhm.
the rest of the industry really beat it to death. I mean, if you look at some of the big sales sites that still sell movies and video on demand and DVD, there's probably been 1,500 parodies made. So that horse has been whipped, fried up, and served on a hamburger bun because you can only do something so much. So people will say now to me, people come up and say, "Why don't you do the Kardashians?" or "Why don't you do a parody of this?" or whatever it is. And I say, because the audience no longer exists. We live in a very different time from an economic standpoint in the adult entertainment business right now. In the old days, you made just about anything and you made a lot of money.
Right.
Some presidents of companies, their biggest decision that week was what kind of car to buy. The money
Wow.
was flowing in so strong. Now it's not
Mhm.
that way anymore. It's a lot more difficult, and the market is completely fractured with girls selling their talent on some of the social media platforms, and they don't
Right.
really need to go the traditional distribution method that was so successful for 50 years.
Right. Right. Yeah, as I've talked to people that have been in the industry for a long time, I always like to ask them, how the evolution of self-producing, self-distributing, like for OnlyFans, your own fan sites, that kind of thing. and what do you miss about that? And so a few people I've talked about, they really liked the on-set feeling, where they had a flirtatious connection with their co-star versus now it seems a lot more contractual. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that as the business, got bigger, you have to understand that right now, this very second,
Mhm.
more people are watching pornography than ever before in history. They're just consuming it for free, or they're consuming it to a different pay person. The money is not going through the normal structure that we've been, used to for all these years. So I think the biggest difference also is the professionalism of the industry, where you now have, agents that kind of look like, like they were Hollywood agencies for movies and film, regular talent agencies, and they pretty much instructed their girls on how to behave in public and all these things. It's really toned the business down. It's not as much fun. We also entered into an era the last 10 years of Me Too. So the freewheeling sexual lifestyle that once existed is gone. And, it's very dangerous now for, especially for men, to be, flirting with women, whether it's in the adult industry or any industry, because there's a lot of accusations that can be levied out there. And once it's on, Twitter or some other social media
Right.
platform, we've become the people are guilty as opposed to innocent until proven guilty. So it's a different thing. I also think it's really changed the way men and women flirt with each other.
Mhm.
It's had a huge impact on that dynamic. I think we'll look back at this period in history and go, wow, this was like the Puritan days in a lot of ways.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I have kinda heard that, from people who have been in this industry for a really long time. Do you have any current movies that you're working on? Let's talk about current day. What you
Well,
got going?
Well, currently, see, the thing about what we do, and we create big, huge feature movies,
Mhm.
and 10 of out of our last 12 movies that we produced are on Showtime, the R-rated version. They're on Showtime. So that's our key destination when we come up with a
That's
concept for a
amazing.
movie. We work with Adam and Eve
Mhm.
on the East Coast, and we will come up with we'll pitch them a bunch of concepts, and we'll say, hey, this is what we want to do. Or they might say to us once in a while, they'll say, hey, can you do a movie such as this? And they'll give us a rough idea, and then I work the idea out, and then
You
I
run
write
with
the
it,
script
yeah.
and go back and forth with them on what we can and can't do. They're a very good company. They're a very conservative company. People have seen the Adam and Eve commercials on television late at night. They're constantly
Right.
advertising their novelty products. And one thing that I want to say to people, which they don't know about Adam and Eve, and I've been with them for many many years, they are a charity. People don't realize that they give like 85% of their money away to charity. And
Wow.
that's been their mission for many years. So, it's not only a good company, a big
Mhm.
company with a big reach, but it's also a philanthropic company. And so that's kind of cool. They
That
donate so much
is.
money to Africa, and they build wells, and they I mean, they're just really amazing. The president, who passed away a couple of years ago, Phil Harvey, um, that was his mission right out of college.
Wow.
His mission was to supply condoms to poor people in Africa. And then it
Mhm.
just expanded from that point on. And then they created this huge company with, people that ran it, like Bob Christian, who was one of our biggest supporters and our biggest
Mhm.
champions. Without him, we probably wouldn't be here talking today. So, as far as what I'm doing now, I'm making movies, but it's really slowed down. When the writers went on strike in Hollywood,
Yeah.
which just ended a month ago, now the actors just resolved their strike a couple days ago. Basically, Hollywood shut down. And although we're Porn Valley, we're still tied in with Hollywood with mainstream distribution through Adam and Eve, through companies like Showtime. And so they kind of put a backlog on things. And also Showtime, was purchased by Paramount, so they put a hold on things. So really,
Gotcha.
our last movie was last spring.
Mhm.
We have not made a movie since. Just like Hollywood, we're kind of idle in that department.
Right.
But we have movies that are backlogged. We have 3 movies in queue that have not even been seen yet. So, we're okay, but we continue to do that. I do other businesses. I have a couple other businesses that are adult related, and, just try to keep your head above water, as they say.
Right, right. Which leads me into, your all media, your all media social.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that. I had it up on my phone. You sent me a link. Yeah. So all media social. Tell us about that because I know a little bit about that. I know one of your employees and friends who I've chatted a bit. Tell us
Well,
about that.
all media social, what happened was we're wondering what the next chapter is for this particular side of our company, the adult entertainment industry. That's a side that we have. We have other businesses, but that was one of them. We're like, okay, so if movies are going away or we're being held up because of Hollywood, politics or whatever it is, what else can we do? And then we also, we're very acutely aware of what's going on in the adult entertainment industry with the fracturing, the move away from big studios, where now the girls are going one on one with their fans. I mean, it's been
Right.
done for a number of years now, but now it's, with COVID, when that came and men and women were stuck at home, this
Mhm.
became a big popular thing. Companies like OnlyFans, and there's many other ones. There's many vids, and there's all kinds of places where the girl would actually basically, if you want to understand it, for the person that doesn't know, it's like if they had their own channel and they could broadcast directly to their fans without any middlemen, without any companies in between. And so that's what they did. And what that did is it took away from the income, from the ROI from production companies that were making
Right.
adult movies, because they're like, to the girls, what's happening? So we decided
Right.
to create a company called All Media Social. We have an Instagram, which is All Media LA, and we decided to help these girls create marketing direction, marketing plans for their own private businesses. These girls, you have to look at adult entertainment porn girls. They're their own franchise. They are their own corporation. They're the CEO, and they have to treat their business like a business.
That's
It's
what I
not,
do.
yeah, it's not the freewheeling days of, oh, let's just go out and party and have fun and have some sex. It is a business, and the smart girls are the ones that are creating marketing plans and having teams help them with their scheduling and all kinds of situations like that. So we created this company, All Media Social, which we are fast becoming the number one company in that area. By, I
Nice.
would say by March, we'll be the number one company, and we literally work hand in hand with women and guys,
And
and
men. I was gonna say you have some men clients, don't you?
some male clients, yes, and we work with them to sharpen their message, to sharpen their marketing, to reach more fans, to basically to increase their income. That's really what it's all about. I mean, the bottom line with all of this, fun and games is the cash flow. If the cash flow is not there, it's a hobby. And so that's what this company does, All Media Social. It helps people sharpen and it takes a lot of the worry off their plate. It leaves them with more time to work on things that they want to work on, or personal things, go to the beach, whatever they want to do. And it's a win-win situation. So, any girl that's looking for help or any guy that's looking for help that has some type of marketing, reach, they should contact All Media Social, because that's really the future. It's cooperation. When back in the day when the studios were cooperating with the talent, they would hire a girl to be in the movie. They would some One of the girls would be the big star of the movie. It was a cooperation.
Mhm.
It was a teamwork. Everything is teamwork. And so this is, All Media Social is a team, and that's kind of, personifies exactly what we do. So it's been very exciting. It's been a big learning experience over the last few months, 6 months, and it's exciting to see the company growing as fast as it is, because that keeps us around
Yeah.
the industry. It keeps us inside the business, as they say, and one of the beacons of the business. So I'm really happy with the company.
Sounds exciting. So tell me, do you have chatters then who are engaging with the
No, no,
fans
we
on the
we
accounts?
we we discuss that individually with the talent, and it's up to the talent on how they want to handle that.
Okay, okay. And do you do, like, as far as Instagram posts, do you help manage that, scheduling, that
Yeah,
kind of
we
thing?
offer all kinds of services, and it's kind of like an à la carte menu on what the girl needs. Some girls don't want anybody touching their Instagram because Instagram's very volatile. They
Yep.
shut people down left and right. Twitter's a lot easier, but I think the girls that actually are engaged on Twitter and Instagram, they're the better girls because they're active in their career. They're trying to promote
Right,
themselves. They're trying to get
right.
going. what we do is we go in there, we'll tell them, hey, slow down on this, this, and this, and increase more of this type of situation. And then they're like, oh my God, yeah, I see that that works. So we're kind of, we've been in the business a long time. I have my longtime business partner of over 2 decades
Mhm.
as the financial officer of the company. The CEO of our company is Drew Rosenfeld, who's been in the business for almost 30 years.
Wow.
And most recently, he was the vice president of Penthouse worldwide.
Mhm.
And we created this company, and we're just rocking it every single day. So it's kind of a fun, exciting,
Yeah.
exciting time. It's always fun to do new things, to create something out of
Right.
thin air, realistically, kind of like we did back when we first got in the adult entertainment, the porn business.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and with all the fan sites, I mean, that's really the evolution. Although there's still studio porn. I mean, from somebody like myself who wants to shoot more studio stuff, what do you recommend? If I said, "What should I do? I wanna shoot more studio stuff next year."
The girls in the industry call it they call it mainstream, which throws me off every time because I'm mainstream to me means Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. That's mainstream to me. So the term mainstream in the adult entertainment industry it means something completely different. Mainstream in the adult means working for Adult Time or Gamma or
Right.
New Sensations or or Adam and Eve. And so that throws me all the time. Like when they say I want to do mainstream, I'm like, well, wait, what? It confuses me.
What kind of mainstream here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think, there's very few movies, in that realm being made these days. I mean,
Mhm.
back when I first started, there was 15,000 studio movies made a year,
Wow.
15,000. I
Wow.
would say probably now, because it turned into it's scenes now instead of movies.
Right.
I would say it's probably, full movies, it's less than, 1,000,
Okay.
maybe 800. So there's not a lot of opportunity anymore for people. I will talk to women who say, God, I haven't shot a scene for a studio in 3 months. And I'm like, well, I understand why. In the old days, um, some girl that just got in would have been working 5, 6 days a week,
Wow.
and the economics aren't there anymore. This is a business. This is economics. So
Mhm.
the advice I would have is just constantly keep yourself out there in the forefront, in the in
Mhm.
the whatever is left of the media. I mean, we have XBiz, we have AVN, we have Porn Crush, we have a few places where news can go. There's a few sites that people can get press releases put up or
Mhm.
talked about. I think it's now more important now than ever for talent to be talked about. You know,
Yes.
gone
Stay
are the
relevant.
days of the megastar like there was during the vivid days of the
Mhm.
'80s, where women were iconic and everybody that even didn't watch porn had heard of Jenna Jameson or
Right.
Ginger Lynn or Amber Lynn or one of these,
Mhm.
Christy Canyon, these
Christy
iconic names.
Canyon.
Yeah, she's great. And
Love her.
so it's there was a biography written by a great Hollywood producer named Jerry Weintraub, and he was the first guy that did a concert with Elvis Presley, and he did the Ocean's 11 movies, and he wrote in his book, and this sentence stood out to me. He said, "Don't get used to anything because every 10 years or so, somebody comes along and resets the table."
Yeah.
And I was like, I read that maybe 20 times backwards, and I was like, holy hell. He is so correct because nothing lasts the way it was. It evolves. Sometimes it evolves really fast where it's like a sudden change, and sometimes it evolves over time, and you didn't even know that that the environment changed, and you're now dealing with a different environment. So we're now dealing with a different environment, and the number one thing though is marketing, in my opinion, is keeping your name out there marketed, because as a producer and a director like I am, once in a while I'll I'll give you a perfect example. I shot a movie, which is going to be up for awards at the January big award shows, and it's
Mhm.
called Love, Sex, and Hollywood, and it stars Kylie Rocket. Now, Kylie Rocket's a young talent who's just absolutely fantastic. Cute, beautiful, and just wonderful girl. I didn't know her. I had never met her before. I never even said hello to her. And I was at the AVN Awards show in Vegas last January, and
Mhm.
they have these skits. They play these skits, kind of like Saturday Night Live, little side skits, little commercial type. And we were looking for a lead for our movie. And I originally wrote it as like a Latina, like a Mexican
Mhm.
housekeeper. caterer, that kind of character. I was thinking Jennifer Lopez, Matthew McConaughey, that kind of a light romantic comedy. And we couldn't find the right person for that role. And we were watching these skits at AVN, and I see this girl, and I leaned over to my business partner. I go, "That's our lead."
That's her.
And it was Kylie Rocket, and she participated with AVN in making these skits,
Mhm.
which is part of her marketing her own brand. So
Right.
she marketed herself to this audience. I happen to be one of the people as the audience,
Mhm.
and that's how I found her. If she didn't participate, if she would have said, "No, I don't wanna waste my, day or 2 shooting these skits,
Right.
stay at home and feed my goldfish," I would have not seen her. Marketing.
That's amazing. What would you say is the most important personality trait to make it in this business, in this day and age?
Well, I'll tell you, and this has been going on not only for this day and age, but ever since I've been in the business, which is a long, long time. The thing I love about certain women, certain actresses, past the fact, can they act? Are they believable? Do they look good? Do they, are they willing to have great sex? That kind of thing. That's a given. You just expect that's going to be the case.
Mhm.
What I like about a girl who shows enthusiasm, who's not looking at this as a chore, who's
Right.
excited to be there. I always take notice of the girls that when they leave set, when they're dismissed from set, the ones that go up to the crew and say goodbye to each individual crew member, from the PA to the lighting guy to the camera guys. I love that. I love to see that personal connection, and it's like, I'll bring her back. She was really good, but she's also a pleasure to have on set. Enthusiasm. Are you
Yeah.
enthusiastic to be there, or is it a chore? Are you looking at your watch and you got to get home because you got to watch TV or whatever it is?
Right.
I would recommend to girls, focus on the task and appreciate the people that are around you. Like, I have really big crews on my set. I mean, you know, I will have a cast and crew of 30 people, and for some of these features, that's a lot of coordination to do. And so it's not easy, but I really appreciate the people, the actors that take the time out to recognize my crew. Doesn't have to be anything big, just a
Right.
thanks so much, a quick little hug. It goes a long way, and a lot of girls, don't do it.
Well, and I mean, that's like the backbone of your production. I mean, you can have the actors or the performers, but it's really that crew that makes it happen.
Absolutely. I have the greatest crew in the world. I have, as my director of photography, I have a guy named Craven Moorhead, who is so amazing to have on set. Joel Sinclair, all these guys, these gritty, tough guys that are not in the limelight, but are crucial and willing to sit on my set from load in at 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the morning, 4:30,
Wow.
5 o'clock in the morning. Um, yeah, they're very long sets. So I really love my crew. My crew to me is I couldn't do it without the crew. These guys have knowledge that I don't have. I mean, I never was a technical guy as far as, knowing exactly what's going on as far as, get this. I know what I want to see. I know how to
Right.
tell a story, but I go to these guys, say, let's work together in this, and they love working with us, and it's great. It's a collaborative effort. Actors, crew, the writer, which is me, and the director and the producers. I mean, it's collaborative. It's a wonderful thing when this machine really works well, and then all of a sudden you bring in the editor, and 3 months later you have a feature movie that's going to be broadcast worldwide. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool
That is
stuff.
amazing. That is amazing. How do you keep yourself so organized and come up with these fresh ideas? What's your secret?
Well, the camera can't see my desk. Okay, so I have piles of paper everywhere. I'm still old school. I still use paper. I like to write things down, type things out. Yeah, yes, and so I'm my business partner, Scott David, is the great organizer,
Mhm.
and he is, for 22 years, he's been the guy that keeps the ship running straight. You need
Nice.
somebody like that in your organization. You need somebody that is, um, that's on top of details. You
Mhm.
know, I've read many books over the years, and it says always surround yourself with people better than you.
Right. I just read
And
a book
yep.
on the airplane coming back from New York City. Same thing.
Now they might not be better than you in things that you do well, but they have skills that you don't do. My business partner, Scott David, and I are complete opposites. He's a worrier. He's on top of things. He's the kind of guy, I'll explain it like this. He's the kind of guy that if I had a gas bill due and he had a gas bill due, when the mailman delivers the gas bill to him, he's writing the check and he's putting the stamp on there and he's handing it to the mailman before the mailman even gets out of the building. Okay. I'm the kind of guy that I got a gas bill due. I take notice when I'm in the shower and the water's cold and I'm like, what the F? Oh my God, I didn't pay the gas bill. Okay. So, where my brain is super creative,
Mhm.
his brain is logical. And a lot of times, people don't have both sides of that going on.
Right.
And the left side, right side brain, discussions. So we figured, that we really complemented each other, and I think that's important. So now with our new company, All Media Social, and
Mhm.
with Drew coming in from Penthouse, I mean, we really complement each other well because we all have different types of skill sets, and it really makes for a good company.
That's perfect. Yeah, I just finished a book called 10x versus 2x, and it talks about focusing on that 20%. And then what you do is you hire a team for that 80% that's taking up your time from, the 20%. And so you're really on track there. It's like you don't need to
Yeah.
know everything.
It's really funny that you said that because I am working on an outside project outside the adult industry. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a TV show, and um, the people that I have involved in this show are amazing. I mean, they're great.
Mhm.
And one of the main guys, who's a big mogul in the industry, he took me aside and he said, "Take the 30,000-foot view.
Yeah.
Don't feel that you have to do everything." Now, he understands that in the adult entertainment business, we have to do everything ourselves because the budgets are not high. And so you have to wear, 15, literally 15 different hats, from
Right.
writer to
Right.
marketer to, overseeing the editing, all these different tasks that you have to do, directing and organizing. So he said, take the view. It's you're the creator of the show, but watch and put the right people in place and let them do what they want to do. Now, that's very difficult for me. I'll tell you, like on writing.
Mhm.
On this particular show, I'm not even looked at as a writer. And that's really what I am. I'm a writer. And they have other people, now that the writer's strike is over, there's other people involved that are writers with track records in television, for example. And it's very difficult for a guy like me who has been kind of controlling every aspect of every production for all these
Mhm.
years to
Right.
kind of like back up and say, okay, I'm going to take a 30,000 foot view. I'm going to run stuff. I'm going to participate, but I'm going to put the right people in place. And that is not an easy transition for a guy like me who's kind of an alpha male, Leo. Let's get this thing done. This is my way. Because I've had a history of being so successful that it's difficult to realize that there's a higher goal. There's a bigger place I want to get to. And
Mhm.
if I try to control it, I will never reach that bigger place. Simple as that.
So, this TV show, that's really, like, your next step. That's your 10x.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few over the years, to not any success. I do have one TV show now, a different one that's starting. It's going to be making the film festival run. It just got accepted to South by Southwest, so we'll see how that goes. And that's a show I did with producers. I did it with Ice T and Chuck D from Public Enemy. They were executive producers on the show,
Oh.
and it was a show, ironically, this is the ironic part about life. This is what makes life so exciting. It's about the it's about the black gang culture.
Oh,
And here I
interesting.
am, a white guy, and but I partnered up with a guy from Atlanta who used to be a Crip gangbanger,
Gang member.
and he's a
Wow.
corporate executive now, and he had a hell of a story to tell, so we told the story. And we'll see how that goes. And it's very exciting, to do things that are out of your wheelhouse. I mean, it's
Yep.
it's 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 exciting. It's nerve wracking. It's scary because at first there's not a dime. There's not a penny. That
Right.
comes in from that. It's a
Mhm.
long process, but it's also the kind of process that if you give up, you might as well just go home. And I've never given up in my life. I've always tried to get someplace. I'm not always successful. Matter of fact, I'm not successful nearly all the time. but the times that I am successful give you such ammunition to continue to try to find that next level, whatever that is. I mean,
Yes.
I think I would only be unhappy if somebody said, "Hey, you could be very successful selling widgets." I'd be like, "No, I'm not really into that." My business partner, on the other hand, would be like, "Great, let's go. How do we start a widget? How do we make a widget?"
Right.
So we're different like that. But I think keeping goals, no matter where you are in your career, no matter how old you are, I think it's super important. I have goals. I have things I want to do. Whether I reach them, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I think I will, but we'll see. But it all takes time. It's all everything's in its given time. When it's meant to happen, it's going to happen.
I always say keep your eye on the prize, and the process that gets you there. Kind of lean into that process and enjoy it. I keep telling myself that. I don't always practice what I preach, but
Yeah. Well, neither do I.
if you had to go back and tell your 25-year-old self one thing, based on what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
That's always a good question. You know, I don't know. I maybe don't sell that Netflix and Apple stock. That might
Oh, yeah.
that might have been a good one. You know.
Dang.
Listen, life is filled with zigs and zags, and
Mhm.
sometimes sometimes you zig when you should have zagged, and you don't really know it until it's over and it's in the rear view, and you look back and you go, "Fuck, I should have, I should have done that, or I should
Right.
have pursued that," and you don't really know. So I don't really have any advice for myself.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I think I've enjoyed both my careers, my 20-year music career,
Mhm, mhm.
and now this 20 plus year career in this business. I've enjoyed them. I never took anything very seriously. It was not life or death to me. You know,
Mhm.
you go through ups and downs in life. My life is up and down like that. And sometimes you have great projects to work on. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes things go your way. Sometimes they don't. But I never concern myself about that. I don't worry about the future. I don't worry about anything. I just keep, trying to do things. So I don't really think I have any advice for myself back in the day that would be earth shattering.
Okay.
'Cause I've enjoyed my life. I mean, I've had I've played all over the world, concerts with
It's amazing.
Grammy award-winning artists, and that was one of my early goals when I was younger, when I was taking piano lessons. I was like, "How can I turn this into something interesting?" My friends were like, "Ah, you can't do that. That's I was, I'm from Milwaukee. How am I gonna play with Grammy award-winning artists?" But I figured it out, and I did, and, and some of those relationships, are still strong today, and some of them started back in the '80s, the '90s. You know? When I first came out to California and I got a job, what my job was? I got a job scoring music for pornos in 1983. Can you
Wow.
imagine that? Back in the day, the chicka bucka chicka bucka chicka, that kind of
Right?
I was one of the guys making those soundtracks, and there's an old school site, I can't remember what it's called, but it shows classic movies from the '80s, all the
Mhm.
golden porn. And there's a review, and it talked about this movie, and whether it's a good review or not, I don't remember, but it was a movie by a guy named Roy Karch, who was a director, one of the first directors to ever shoot on videotape, possibly the first.
Yes.
And he was a
I've
very,
heard you talk about him, I think, when I met
very
you
good
last
friend,
month.
very good
Yes.
friend of mine, and he passed away a couple years ago. And anyway, I did music for him and many others, and I thought it was really good. So I read this article. It wasn't good. It wasn't good music at all. Believe me. I listen to it now, and I'm like, oh my god. But when you're a kid and you're doing it, you just the fact that you're doing music for a porn movie. Oh my god, how cool is this? Because that's back when they
That
showed porn movies in theaters.
that is
You know?
very cool.
Yeah. So this music, bow chicka wow chicka wow. I completely lost my train of thought just now. See, this is what happens when you get older. This is what happens when the face of age is creeping up, and I had a great story to tell, and I completely forgot what I was going to tell you.
No, I get it. You can't see my desk, but I have, like, all these reminders of the questions I need to ask you, and then I was like, "Wait, what question was I gonna ask him? I can't find it now."
Well, it'll come to me. Maybe after the
It'll
podcast
come
is
to
over,
me.
it'll come to me, which is
That's
probably.
right, and then you can just tell me then.
But it was the point I was trying to make kind of was the fact that I used to, I came out here to do these scores,
Mhm.
And then from there I went on to a real music career. But by the way, I gotta tell you, I used to FedEx music from Milwaukee to LA to these directors. They would say, "Hey, I need
Oh.
35 minutes of music and I need a 90-second theme song." And I would write it and record it and send it out on the tape. And one of the things I was going to tell you is, so this is long distance music. The director would call me up and say, "I kind of want some up tempo, maybe a little funky or a little, chicka wah wah, whatever." And then I would do it and they go, "Oh, it's great. I love it. It's fantastic." So one time I decided to fly out to California. I was like 23 years old. And I got on a plane, I flew to California, and I went to the studio where the director told me he was shooting that day. And I was young and shy and kind of, a little nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And I walk on this set at Gourmet Video in the 80s, and there's a guy and a girl engaged in great sex. I mean, to me, it was like, oh my God, this is how you're supposed to do it. My sex up to that point was, awkward and, not the greatest. These guys were, so they took a break and the girl comes out to get a soda and I start talking to her. I said, "Hey, so, yeah, how long have you been dating that guy?" She goes, "Dating him?" She goes, "I just met him this morning." I could not wrap my head around the fact that they were having sex so wonderfully, beautifully,
Right.
and they had just met. And it blew me away. The guy couldn't finish the scene. He just couldn't finish the scene. So Roy Karch, the director, comes up to me, and the guy was a skinny guy, and back then I was really skinny, and I could kind of fit that vibe. Roy goes, "Let me shoot you from your torso down, and if you could just finish the scene and on the girl." I was like, my mind is going, "What? I just flew into LA, and you want me to finish the scene?" I couldn't do it. I declined. So that was one of the times I zigged when I should have zagged.
There you go. There you go.
Zigged when I should have zagged. So, it was interesting, but, that was all a learning process for what then happened 20 years after that fact. I remember going on another set, and there was cocaine on the set. I had never seen cocaine before. I've never done it, and I was and anyway, the movie Boogie Nights, people think, "Oh, that's a great movie,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not real." It was real. That's kinda how it was back in those days. It was a lot of crazy fun and,
Mhm.
even in a lot of instances, it was illegal to shoot porn.
Gotcha.
Girls and guys today have no idea. People went to jail for years
Mhm.
on federal indictments, of pornography. So
Wow.
we have it really easy now compared to how people had it
Yeah.
back in the day when everything was secret and you met at the Northridge Mall and got into a van and you didn't know what house you were going to. It's a different world now, but all that was part of the evolution, and that makes
Right.
up that made up a huge part of my life. All these little mini
Mhm.
adventures rolled into one big thing. So if I ever write my memoirs,
I
I
was
have
just gonna say, you
I
gotta write a
ever
book.
I will write a book if I have success in television. Then
Okay.
I'll have 3 acts. I need 3 acts: music, adult, and television. So if I
I
do have
love it.
success, I'll write my memoirs. My mother, who passed away a number of years ago, gave me the title to my memoirs. She didn't realize it at the time, but she gave me the title. She was very, very sick. She was dying.
Mm.
And she said to me the following. She says, "I know you have this company and I know you do really well, but all I can think about is 20 years of piano lessons down the drain."
Oh,
So that will be the title of my memoirs.
I love it. I
Did
love
I
it.
ever write
Okay.
them? Yeah. So
That
that's
is perfect. Well, I sure appreciate you coming on the show and telling your story. I love hearing, all these things and also how, it's evolved for you and what you have going on. Tell people if they're interested in your social media management, where can they contact you?
They can go on Instagram and look at our Twitter and Instagram is All Media LA. Very
Okay.
simple. All Media Social. This is All Media LA. We've had All Media as a part of our name of our companies since the '90s.
Okay.
When I started a music company back in the day called All Media Entertainment, and we've had different versions of that company for years. And now we're All Media. We have a company called All Media Social. They can go on there, or they can reach out to me if they know somebody that knows me. Just
Okay.
you know,
And you
ask
have a
them.
website too for that?
Allmediasocial.com.
Okay.
Very
Awesome.
simple. And basically, if you are a creator and you
Mhm.
need help, and you want to ease your workload, and you want to go with the best. We're looking for people that have a reach, that have actually subscribers, that have fans,
Mhm.
that are of some level of popularity,
Right.
and we will be your team.
Awesome. Sounds like a win-win.
Could be. Hmm.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck
Yeah,
at ABN. Bring another award
I
home
see
would
your
be good.
panties, hanging up again on the with the clothespins. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole granny panty thing.
love it. I love it.
But well, thank you again, Will. I'm so excited I got to meet you and, chat with you, and
Is the
I
time over already? My God, that was so
yeah,
fast. Seemed like it
I
just
know.
like that.